The NBA season is officially just one day away, and despite that, an Eastern Conference rival to this Miami Heat team may be on the brink of implosion. I'm here to break down how and why and how the Miami Heat should benefit from this moving forward. We'll do that all on this episode of Heat Digest, but first, remember to subscribe to the channel if you are a part of this 82.5%. Currently not subscribed. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys so very much for that. But now let's get to it and break down, is Giannis Antetokounmpo on the move? Now, before we get into the quotes and all the news and actual information, I'm here to tell you now. Don't go run into the comments right after seeing that subheading, that little title, and saying, it's not happening, you're crazy. I don't think it will happen for many reasons. One of them we will talk about in this video a little towards the end after we highlight the quotes from Giannis. Because of the trade package, we would have to send, again, this is a mock trade, to Milwaukee in order to get Giannis back in a Miami Heat uniform. Again, I don't think it's something that will happen in the next so-on years. I don't think if it does happen, it would have to happen in free agency or at the later stages of Giannis's career to add to this Miami Heat team in more depth. But again, we are years away from that conversation even being readily available. But again, we will get to all the information, including a mock trade that involves the Miami Heat going out and acquiring Giannis Antetokounmpo for a king's ransom. And again, there's no way around that. It is you guys will laugh. I laughed hysterically when I originally saw it just a few hours ago. And again, I can't wait to see and hear your input on it because, again, it is insane. But again, here's the quote that really popped everything off and got the internet really churning about this idea and a possible implosion going on in Milwaukee. Shout out to NBA Central. Once again, you guys are killing it, posting the main quote from Giannis in the Sam Amick article that we're going to highlight in just a second, going on to say Giannis Antetokounmpo thinks he might be traded if the Bucks don't win the championship. Going on to say, and I quote, "Yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. This is the job we live. This is the world we're living in. It's everybody at any given moment. If you don't succeed, that might be it for us. If you don't do a good enough job, you're out." And that's the end of the quote from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, citing NBA Central, citing Sam Amick in this article that he wrote about Doc Rivers, Dame Lillard, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and really the entirety of the Milwaukee Bucks and the expectations and realities going into this season. And again, they have a great team on paper. If you look at the depth chart, if you look at the roster, it is not a bad roster. If you have a lineup with Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Damian Lillard in your starting rotation, you're doing just fine on paper. But how does that play in the NBA regular season, as well as getting towards the later stages of the year? Is everyone healthy? Is everyone available? Are you ready to go in the playoffs? And does your brand of basketball work in the playoffs? And does it translate to winning basketball when every possession really matters? And again, we haven't seen that from the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, they make run after run after run, and they are successful, but again, they are not consistently in the NBA Finals. And with the roster that they currently have, going out and getting Doc Rivers and just going out and acquiring these other key role players, it seems hard to believe that they might not, or that they won't consider a possible trade if the time comes for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, a few quotes from this article we're going to break down. We're not going to read it word for word, but again, this is the context, in which the Giannis Antetokounmpo quote originally came from. Antetokounmpo has decided there's no use running from the reality of these months ahead. He leans right into it. So again, Amick frames it very, very well here in the sense that Giannis keeping this in the back of his mind. Is it something that is lingering through the offseason? Is it something he's been thinking about? Is it something he's really started to think about going into this season due to the success of the previous years, or the lack thereof, if you will? Now, as a Bucks staffer walks by Antetokounmpo, grabs the man by the shoulder and asks a remarkably pointed question, and that is where this came into play. "If we don't win this year, would you get fired?" Antetokounmpo asked with a wry smile to his coworker. "Do you have it in the back of your mind, like, what if this year doesn't go well? Yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. This is the job we live. This is the world we're living in. It's everybody." That's the quote from Giannis Antetokounmpo when he was asking the question to the staffer walking by. And again, this is very, very odd, in my opinion, for someone at their level of Giannis Antetokounmpo, in the situation they are in Milwaukee, a team that we expect and everyone really has the expectations to be a very good and consistent and reliable team going into this year, whether it is just through the regular season or deep into the playoffs, it is a wild question to think of, especially with the value of someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, the article goes on to say it was a heavy and humorous all at once. Even more so when Antetokounmpo pulled a similar prank on Bucks general manager John Horst on the way out of the gym after the interview. From top to bottom, in other words, heads could roll here if it doesn't go well, or heads could at least relocate. And again, Sam Amick is a very good writer. He's very good at what he does, and this is a very, very good way to frame it, in my opinion. Is this something he's been thinking about in the sense of Giannis? Is this something Giannis has been giving a lot of thought? Again, preseason, going into last season, or is it just something new that has just started as of late going into this year? And has the pressure really been ramped up internally throughout other coaches and other members of the organization, or is this personally just coming from Giannis? Again, these are a lot of questions that we don't have the answer to yet, but it seems like with this much drama and this much of just this being so significant, it feels like this could be something that we get answers to later down the line. Now, the last thing we're going to cite from this article is this. As I shared with Antetokounmpo, rival front office executives are hoping the Bucks fail miserably, so that might consider an NBA life outside of Milwaukee, again, for Giannis. And again, a lot of teams could definitely benefit from acquiring Giannis Antetokounmpo. I just don't know if Miami will be capable of doing so without, again, giving up a king's ransom, again, if we went out and attempted to get him through trade. He's signed through the 2026 and 2027 season with a player option worth $62.7 million. So really, he could be there until the 2028 season, because if he accepts that player option, just like we've discussed with Jimmy Butler in the past, he will be back for that 26-27 season for the Milwaukee Bucks. So this is very, very interesting to say the least. Obviously, Giannis is very well paid. He's been taken care of by Milwaukee because they expect him to be the cornerstone of his franchise for years to come, or at least that's what we thought. Now, again, we don't know if this is internal pressure or if this is specifically coming straight from Giannis in his own mind and the self-doubt or really just the anxieties that he has going into this year. We won't know until more information comes out. But to finish out this article, the list goes on in a quote from Antetokounmpo with this, saying, and I quote, "On a serious note, this is the job." End of quote from Antetokounmpo continued. "It's the profession that we're in. At any given moment, if you don't succeed, that might be it for us. It was the same way with the previous coaching staff, in the year before, in the players before. If you don't do a good enough job, you're out." And again, that is the extension of the quote from Giannis Antetokounmpo with full context that we broke down earlier from NBA Central. And again, it's a bit of a doozy. I understand. Giannis Antetokounmpo has meant so much to Milwaukee, but could we possibly see him traded and landing in Miami? This is why I doubt it. So, Athlon Sports, shout out to you. They posted this link to their article where they broke down a possible trade scenario titled "Miami Heat could make blockbuster trade offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo," going on to say the Miami Heat could be one of the teams in the running to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo if he were to leave the Milwaukee Bucks in the near future. And again, this was just published this afternoon, October 21st. So again, I made the little disclaimer before we got into all the notes and all the actual quotes and from the articles and everything. I hate this trade, okay? We're going to get to it now, but I absolutely hate this trade. And this is what it goes on to say. In Fadeaway World, Fran Leva, I apologize if I said that incorrectly, suggests a trade that would see the Heat receive Giannis while the Bucks would get Bam Adebayo, Jovic, Jaime Jaquez Jr., a 2029 first-round pick, and a 2031 first-round pick. There is no way. There's no way. There's no chance. There's no chance. I'm speaking for the Miami Heat and everybody. Bam is not going anywhere. I don't care if Giannis is coming in exchange for him. I don't care. It's not happening. If you think otherly than what I just said, and you would like to see Bam be moved for Giannis, regardless of what the other pieces are with Bam Adebayo, please let me know in the comments. I would love to see if there's a group of people or please let me know. I'm speechless even thinking about the idea, seeing Bam Adebayo in a different jersey besides a Miami Heat one, especially when we're also giving up a great young piece in Jovic, a great young piece in Jaquez Jr., and then two first-round picks in 2029 and in 2031. Absolutely drastic. I could not see this being done. I would absolutely veto this if I were the Miami, the entire idea of it. But again, please let me know down below what you guys think about this idea. I know the speculation surrounding Giannis is always fun and enjoyable to break down because it's a Eastern Conference rival really imploding. Because if Milwaukee doesn't have Giannis, I don't care if they have Dame and Chris Middleton and the other role players that they have, Brook Lopez, whoever else it may be. Without Giannis, they're not doing much. And again, I would love to see them lose Giannis, but again, to see him go somewhere else would make that team very, very good. So maybe send him to Charlotte, send him somewhere to where he would make an impact, but it wouldn't be drastic in my opinion. Obviously, he would probably be damn good in Charlotte. Now I'm thinking about playing with LaMelo Ball, but again, they'd have to make some trades, so they would have to give up some pieces and go acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's going to be crazy if he is moved. If he is moved, you'll hear it from us. We will break down the story the second we get it. But again, that'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one.